for our third step here, I want to start talking about adjustment layers. So first of all, I want to just go over in here and delete our mask. So let's delete that. And as well, I want to clear out all our effects, what we've learned in the previous tutorials. So I'm going to go down here and clear the layer styles. So we're back to just a normal image. All right, so what I want to do now is basically call up my rest of my workspace. So that will be under properties and also adjustments. Let's move this over here. We still have our adjustments over here and properties. So let's actually take layer. We're going to move that back into our layers palette and clip our whole workspace to the right side. Great. So again, on our first pixel layer here that we've just created, we're going to create an adjustment layer. Right on top here, we have layers. Like I said before, we have an adjustment panel. We can also select here maybe a curves levels adjustment layer or just normal levels. Let's go with curves adjustment layers for now. So basically I apply now an adjustment layer to this, but there has no effect being attached now to this adjustment layer. So this means now I'm going to drag out the property tab here, make it a bit bigger, and first of all work a little bit in the adjustment layer. So for that, we have a curves adjustment layer over here, and I can now tweak down all the dark areas, and for this, all the light areas, push them up in order to give this whole image a little bit of an effect. So right away, we can see I'm brightening this a little bit and giving this a bit more contrast and pop. So now I can move this back in here. Okay, that's all that I need for my properties and for my adjustment. But right away, you guys can see that this layer here has a new adjustment. So basically it means an adjustment layer. It has been adjusted and therefore my whole end result looks different. But we haven't applied this directly to this layer. It's a separate layer. So like you can see, here's the before and after, before and after. Now I can continue with my photoshopping process. I might go back to create another adjustment layer. This time I want to take down the saturation, the color. So I'll head over to adjustment tab. Select hue and saturation. Let's drag out the properties again so it's easier for you to understand. This layer has not been altered yet, only the layer underneath. So hue and saturation over here in our properties tab. Say for instance in the master tones, we're taking down all the saturation. So take it down and right away you'll see that this layer has a new effect, whereas our picture, our main layer, which is this at the bottom here, has been affected now with just this hue and saturation and this curves adjustment layer. So if I'll switch off now the hue and saturation again, you'll see we get back to this effect that we had with curves. So adjustment layers are basically layers that help you to adjust certain techniques and create certain effects. Add them on top of your stack of your patty here with all of your images, and right away you always get different effects. So through adjustment layers, you can also have them kind of like tools working on your image and creating really creative stuff or enhancing your images a little bit more. Say something like this now. For instance, this layer only does this effect to my image. This adjustment layer only gives me the contrast, and I don't like both of them, so I can just switch them off easily. Let's move properties back in. Don't worry so much now at the moment about all the little features here from all the different adjustments that you get from the adjustment tab. For now, it's just important to understand what is an adjustment layer. So basically it's a layer again that adds a certain effect right on top of your image. So say for instance, these two here only affect this layer now, but they are also affecting this layer. It's just because this layer is covering all of this layer, you don't see it. But if I switch this off, it just stays the same here. Let's maybe quickly double tap on here, go into the layer styles, what we've learned already, and we're going to say color overlay. This time we choose a red color, okay, like we said, and choose difference blending option. Currently nothing is happening here. That is because we still have the pixel layer on top with these two. And remember, it covers everything here. So I'm going to hit OK, turn all of this off, and right away you see we have the old effect again because we've applied some effects through the layer styles. Now if I select the new layer on top, again it's a normal layer, but we've applied adjustment layers. So again the curves adjustment layer here will give it a bit contrast, and the hue and saturation will make it a Hulk or very weird. So again we have that on top. But now if I go to this pixel layer, turn it off, these two adjustment layers also take effect onto this layer because this one is hidden now. So there's a certain small technique that one can also use. One switches back on this current layer, has its two effects, and now you hold Alt, go between the layers until the little arrow appears again, and this layer, the adjustment layer here is with the arrow, only affects this layer now. And you can repeat this step again with another adjustment layer if you hover between the layers with the little arrow selected. So both of these layers now, the adjustment layers, have little arrows, and both of them are only affecting this layer. If I switch this off, have a look, we are not going to be left with a green Hulk. We'll be left with our styles over here. So let's turn this off, and right away you'll see everything is grayed out. So these two layers only affect this layer now. And this you can do with many different type of layers and stacks. What I mostly do is take all of these layers here, like I showed you guys again when I introduced the layers, and put this in a group. So again, I will go down here and select the group icon, and this here is maybe my new effect. So again, just to understand, adjustment layers are here to adjust certain layers, but they are also adjusting everything that is underneath if they are not clipped to a certain layer. So again, here we have the effect like so, and again, back to this effect. Now, right away while we're in here, we can also apply a mask to only this image. So let's select the mask over here and say, for instance, the green Hulk, we want to have this color here only on her skin. And we can now go back in, accept it, and now paint with a black color. Remember, again, black hides, white shows. So black color with B with the brush, and we are just painting on here. Okay, and we need to create the opposite, obviously, if we want to have the green at the bottom. I'm just doing it very roughly to show you guys an example. Like so, obviously one would be more precise than when working with this, but don't pay too much attention to the tool now. Again, see the mask, it's white, so showing all, and black is hiding. Now we're going to inverse this. Again, everything that is white shows and everything that is black hides, even though that you have adjustment layers on top. So again, the whole effect takes part in this group, but if you have a mask, it also can bleed all the way through to the bottom layer. So it's like a burger and like a patty again. Whatever is at the bottom will be shown, and then on top, the next stuff comes on top. Everything that's on top will be obviously visible more than the bottom part. Let's also go over here and just select again our mask, right click, delete the mask. And another technique that I want to show you guys now is also the effect group. We can minimize this again here with the group, as you've seen now already. So again, from this effect, I can also create a mask right away on this. So on the group, I'll just select the mask. So this group now has a mask attached. And again, white shows everything. So I can, with Command I, invert everything. So it's now not showing at all. And now again, with white foreground color, paint back in with the brush on the mask, only the areas that I want from my green little Hulk. And over here, as you guys get the idea. Now we are showing that. So again, masks also on groups, but only adjustment layers are creating this. We can also now then again say here, delete layer mask. We can take both of these layers out again and also delete our effect layer. Okay, I need to move this out too. So right away, we again have our adjustment layers. We're back to the first start. We clip these then again. And as you guys can also see, one more thing that I want to mention here is in the adjustment layers, they also have a mask attached. So say for instance, this adjustment layer here only gives me a lot of contrast. And the second one changes the color very differently because it's a hue and saturation adjustment layer. And I don't really like the green on her skin. Then I can easily go onto here, take again the brush, black foreground color please, in order to hide again and paint on this mask. And right away on here, I can now brush in the skin. But again, nothing happens. This is because again, your foreground colors have to switch. So black foreground color, and now I can then again hide. So again, you guys can see that I'm hiding everything from this certain adjustment layer. Not even creating a mask or a group with mask. You can do it right away on this original layer here. Again, I'll do this a bit rougher and a bit bigger, quicker. So again, with black, I hide it. And with white, I want to reveal this a little bit again. So brushing in here, the orange here. So you can create some really amazing different type of pictures with adjustment layers. Okay, so that's basically all about the adjustment layers. spend a bit more time when you work with adjustment layers. And all of these adjustments over here are also obviously available from the top here from new layer adjustment layers here. So again, you can also work the effects down here. Say for instance, black and white. You have a new black and white adjustment layer here. Remember, this affects now everything, even this layer. If you switch everything on and also go between the layers, hold Alt, the arrow appears and only this black and white here is affected. If you double click on here, it will go back to the Properties tab, and in the Properties tab, you can now work again with your color effects and also enhance that black and white look a little bit. Yeah, that's all about the adjustment layers.